Hello everybody. Today we are having a go at a 5x7 upright Z-Fold card. It's a relatively easy one, but we're going to do a 5x7 and then I'll take you through the formula. So if you want to make any size of this card, you should be able to do it with the formula that I've got. Okie doke. So for this card, you are going to need one piece of base card that is 5x7. That doesn't need scoring. Then you need another piece, which is 5x7.5. And this one you're going to score at 3.5 and at 7. Like that. And then you need one other piece, which is 3x5. That doesn't need any scoring. So then this one here, we're going to fold the 3.5-inch fold line is going to be a mountain. And then the other one is going to be a valley. And then what we need is some red tape, or you can use wet glue. And then what we're going to do is this is going to stick onto here. Now you can decide whether you want to stick it on the front like that, so that you've got your, or you want to stick it on the back. It really doesn't matter. I think I'm probably going to do mine on the back, just because then you're definitely not going to see it from the front. So I'm going to go ahead and put some tape just on this side. So obviously it depends which way you're going to stick it, depends on where you're going to put your tape. So if you're going to do it the other way around, then obviously your tape needs to be on the other side. And then what I'm going to do is just peel off part of the backing. I'm only going to do a little tail. I'm not going to peel the whole thing off. Bring my 5x7 in, put it on the top like that, and then bring this crease up, and you just want to make sure it's definitely in that crease. And that sides, your sides it all kind of lines up with each other. And then just stick that down like that. Make sure it's not wonky. And then when you open it up, you should have basically that. Now that's not really going to stand up because this flaps. So that's where your extra piece comes in. But before we add this front bit on, we need to decorate. This is a super quick card, by the way, so we might be chatting after this, but yeah. So I'm actually using all the pieces from my so these papers are from that Festive Soldiers pack, and all the ephemera are bits that I've cut out from that pack. I'm going to use this as my little stopper. So if I'll show you my little sample card that's not decorated. So this is the card. You see like that, and it stands up really nicely because this little stopper here holds this piece in place, and it pops out. So you can open that up. So obviously your greeting is going to go in there, but it just means because it just sort of sits underneath, it then means that doesn't go anywhere. So you are going to need, now again, it depends on where you're going to stick your sentiment. But I've decided to put my sentiment on the inside here. So my sentiment will go here. Okay. You will need one piece of mat that is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and one piece of pattern that's 4.5 by 6.5. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that onto there like that, and then the whole thing is going to go in here like that. Right, so that's that. And then we want 2 pieces of mat that go on here, and these need to be 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And then you need one piece of pattern that's 3 by 4.5, and one piece of white that's 3 by 4.5. Now, because my mat is white, I haven't cut the white piece out. I've just literally gone with the mat and used that as my sentiment piece. But if you have got a different colour mat, then that's what it needs to be. So let me go ahead and stick these down. Okay, so then with it like that, you then need your base piece that was 3 by 5, and onto that you want a mat piece that is 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, and a pattern piece that's 2.5 by 4.5. So let me just layer all of those up. Right, so then this piece needs to go on and be stuck just on this front section. So you want to stick it on. Now I reckon the best thing to do is flip this over like that, so then you can see where your line is, and you want to make sure you've got an even-ish border all the way round approximately, And then we are going to add a bit of glue onto here. And again, you can use glue or tape. It doesn't matter as long as it's something quite strong, because this is actually part kind of a, this is construction. This is like a construction part. So you do want it to be quite strong. Flip that over. And then that is going to go on the front here. And as I said, I'm only sticking it to that bottom section. And then you want to work out what you're putting on it. Okay, so just make sure that's properly stuck. Because I'm using glue, I just really do need to make sure that's stuck. And you should end up with no extra glue there, which is good. And then you need to work out what you want to put on the front. So whatever topper you want, that's what you're going to need to put here. I've actually cut this out of the back of the pad, and he's going to go on the front. And I think I'm going to make him sort of in the middle there. I've also cut a Happy Christmas out, again from the pack. I've matted it onto the base card, and I thought I'd have it, I was going to have it kind of at an angle, but I'm now wondering whether I should have it straight. And then I've cut a sweet out, and that is going to go at the top, and that's going to be my little thing that keeps it, that holds it in place. I could do the other way around if I wanted to. I could have the Happy Christmas at the top and have that as my little thing that keeps it straight. So I could have that there. But no, I think I prefer him there and have the sweet at the top. I think I'm going to go that way around. So I am going to use, you can use wet glue, but I'd have to wait for it to dry. So I'm actually going to use some red tape instead. So I think that would be better. So I'm going to put red tape kind of halfway across the back of this. So I'm not actually going to go, this half here is not going to have any tape or glue on it, because that's the bit that is going to be, it's going to have the topper going underneath it. But I do need to make sure that everything above it is really quite secure. And probably I would have been better. I think if I wasn't doing it as a video, I would actually do it with wet glue, because I want to make sure the whole of that top section is glued. So at the moment it's not, but hey, it's fine. We'll wing it and hope for the best. And then we just need to make sure when we stick this down that we do not stick that onto here. So I know I've done it kind of more than, I haven't done it halfway. I've done it just slightly above halfway. So let me just put that there like that. Make sure it's central. There we go. And then let's just double check. Yep, that's fine. So then if you stick it when it's flat, you'll know definitely it will be able to slot under. But there should be enough. Oh, just that's a little bit. So when it opens up, you need to allow that. So as you can see, it's only just catching underneath that as it's open. So it probably could have done with coming down a little bit, but I've stuck it now, so it's tough bananas. But you want to make sure that when it opens up, there is still a bit of card holding it. Oh, hello. I might need to put a second one in on mine. It does work just, but I should have done that further down. I might cut another sweet out and just, or something else, and just do it there. If I try and peel this off, it's going to take off my card. So I should have moved that down. So a little side note for you. Make sure it's far enough down that you can stick some underneath it, but it's not, you know, it's not so far up that then you've got nothing to trap it. I reckoned that when I did my little sample, I used a 1.5 inch circle, and that worked well. And I think this is slightly smaller. If I'd done the sweet the other way around, that might have been a better idea. But anyway, right, let's stick Mr. Soldier down. Okay, and then, yeah, it does stand up. I mean, just have to be careful. It can't really open any more than that. So you kind of want it to open a bit more than that. But obviously, as you can see, mine's a bit too close. Right, so with this then, I've got a little formula of how to make this card in bigger size. These are my measurements. So for an A5 version, you would need one piece that's 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, which is obviously your back panel. Then you need to increase, so the bit that's going to go on the front, you basically add 1/2 inch to the longest side. So whatever size you want your footprint to be, add 1/2 inch to the longest side, or if it's square, to whichever side you fancy. And so that means that this piece would be 5 3/4 by 8 3/4, not 8 1/4. And then you score it at whatever halfway is. So for 5 3/4, halfway would be, sorry, for 8 1/4, halfway would be 4 1/8. And then you also score at the total length, so 8 1/4. Okay, so your thing is 8 3/4, but you're scoring halfway and then half an inch in. If that makes sense. And then the front piece is basically 2 inches less than your full footprint. So this is a 3 by 5. This is a 5 by 7. So 3 and 5, 7 and 5. Yep. And so if you then want, say for example, you want to do a 6 3/4 one, which is square. So your square is 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. Your front piece is 6 3/4. You're adding half an inch on, so that makes it 7 1/4. And then you're scoring halfway at 3 3/8 and also at 6 3/4. Then you've got your little half-inch tab. And then your front piece, well, your main piece is 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. Take 2 inches off, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. So whatever size you want to do, get your size of card. So whatever size it is. So say you want A2, then get your A2 size piece card. And then the front piece is A2 plus an extra half an inch on the longest side if you want it portrait, or half an inch on the shortest side if you want it landscape. And then the front topper is basically 2 inches smaller in all directions than your card size. Okay, hopefully that helps people. So that, I'll leave those measurements on. You can screenshot those. I don't know if you can read my writing. Hopefully you can. But that's basically the formula. So if you want to do a 6 by 6, then your topper will be 4 by 4. And then you can just work out your mats and layers accordingly. I usually come in by 1/4 of an inch for my mat and another 1/4 of an inch for my pattern. That's the way I normally do it. So yeah, so hopefully that helps somebody.